Hey everybody, Icy Cat here, and today I've got some really exciting information. We just got some new information regarding a couple of operators in the game that are getting some serious buffs, and we're going to break down all the info next. Today we had an interesting clip posted on both the official Rainbow Six Twitter and Facebook pages. This shows Twitch's shock drone taking out a camera in front of house, and it looks to be at a little bit longer range than it used to be. But we're also seeing something really interesting here. Take a look at the timer up at the top of the screen as well as the text up above there. It is during the preparation phase. That's right, this shows Twitch's drone, the shock drone, being used during the prep phase. This means that you're going to be able to take out gadgets when you're scouting. If that's true, that's a real game changer. I mean, if this is true, think how much the meta of the game is going to shift on defense. When you're putting out your batteries and your signal jammers and your ADS systems, and they can be taken out before the attacking round has even started. If that jammer gets shot as soon as it's put down, you're going to be clearing the way for additional drones to come through, and that's going to give an advantage to the attacking team's amount of intel. This would shake up the game in crazy ways. It might cause the meta to shift in ways where maybe everybody doesn't even bother putting down their gadgets right away. They just reinforce walls and do some things like that, and they wait until the attack phase has started before they put down their gadgets. Maybe it means that people will just camp the doors and shoot underneath them for when the drone comes rolling through to try to get an early drop on it or sit in front of any vents, and that's kind of like they just wait for the drone to come in because it's that much of a game changer. On the other hand, other teams may not worry about it, they may not adjust to the meta, and they might really get penalized for it. So as soon as they put that battery down, it's instantly shot, or as soon as they put that jammer down, it's instantly gone. The thing is with Twitch, they may or may not actually deploy her shock drone. She only has one of them. It gets taken out pretty easily. Most of the time when people play her, they use her for her speed and her gun set, and the shock drone can be used situationally, but many times players will go through an entire round using Twitch and they may not deploy it. There's some people that are fantastic with the drone. I mean, they'll use it all the time. They'll take out gadgets left and right. But oftentimes people will not deploy the shock drone, or maybe they'll put it out but not toward the end of the round. If this is being used during the preparation phase, then that means that it's going to be in play every single time. But what does this mean if the drone gets shot out during that phase? I mean, we don't know. I mean, she still has her other couple of drones, but then she no longer has her ability, and drones are pretty easily taken out during that initial phase. So has something been done to address that so you're not instantly losing her ability right off the bat? Has it been given more armor or the ability to jump, or maybe more than one drone, or we just don't know. I do think that there would have to be some kind of an additional layer put into place, though, because drones are frequently taken out during the scouting phase. And if you were to put in her ability and get it taken out before you even got a chance to take one step as her, that would be pretty rough. So I'm thinking that this drone has also changed in other ways beyond simply what's being shown here. Whether that's more than one, or it's armored, or additional hit points, or it can jump, or I don't know. The next major leak came from Ubisoft Brazil, and this was not posted on the Ubisoft Facebook and Twitter pages. This was instead put on the Ubisoft Brazil Facebook page only, and it got leaked from there. This shows Doc injecting the medical dart into his arm before he's even needing to be revived. You can see the hit points down in the bottom of the screen. He starts with 54, he takes the injection, and he's up to 94. He gets a 40-point heal. Down in the lower corner there, you can see that the count for the darts is low. He doesn't have a ton of them, but the ability to revive or to use darts for healing would be a pretty major shift in that meta as well. Doc is another character. I mean, I was talking before about how Twitch could sometimes be played for an entire round and somebody may not even deploy her shock drone. Doc is an even better example of somebody who can be played for an entire round and his ability might not even come into play at all. If you're not around anybody when they get downed, or if people just get, headshotted and they're instantly killed, I mean, you can't use your ability. And there are many times when I've played as Doc and it's never even come up. There's nobody for me to revive. But if you can now use his darts to heal as well as to revive, that's going to change things in a big way. And 40 points of health is not insignificant. As you can see by the animation, it's very quick. It's not like you have to wait a long time to do it. Looks like it takes about 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds top, and that's it. It's very fast. You actually spend more time waiting for the reload than you do for the process to complete. Additionally, there's been some audio files circulating on the internet regarding some things that have been extracted from the game contents. Apparently, when Skull Rain came out and they got the content update, with all the new files that were added, there was some additional audio files. And one of these really seems to match up well with what we're seeing here. This is Doc, and you can hear him say,
"Medical dart!
Taking my medication.
Meds delivered.
Target hit with med dart.
So that's Doc. As you could hear, he says target hit with med dart. Now, target implies that he's not hitting himself with it in the arm, which means he can probably hit other people with it too. Just like he can hit other people with a revive, he'll be able to not only give himself health back, but he'll also be able to give it back to others by the sound of this audio file. Again, this is an audio file extracted from the game itself. The next thing is something we have far less confirmation on. This is actually something that is also extracted from the same batch of audio files that have been added to the game since Skull Rain. So this does come from files within the game itself. Take a listen.
Deploying claymore.
Claymore deployed.
Mine deployed.
Claymore set.
Now, variations on that are played for a wide variety of different operators in different voices. It might be something that was thrown out there as just a net, like maybe this is something that they were going to add to the game and they just, kind of made a voice recording for everybody just in case. We've had kind of some hit or miss success in regards to extracted audio files. For Season 3, a lot of people thought that one of the operators was going to have a ladder because they found a file and it said, climb this, and they thought that that was the new Season 3 operator saying to climb something, and everybody was convinced it was a ladder that you're going to be able to stick in blown open trapdoors from below and get into the objective that way. That turned out to not even be remotely the case, and what it actually probably was is if you listen to the Spetsnaz recruit when he throws up a rappel line and he says that line, it's pretty much the exact same thing, and people just weren't recognizing it because they don't play as a Spetsnaz recruit very often. So that was an audio file that people got very psyched about, and they thought it was going to turn into something, and it didn't. Conversely, just before Dustline came out, people also found an audio file that said, rifle shield deployed, get behind me. This turned out to be an accurate representation of what Blackbeard's gadget became. So that part was accurate. But there was also an audio file that went with that was talking about throwing a nitro cell. And so people were wondering, was this going to be the first attacker that was going to wind up having a nitro cell? Or was the character with the deployable rifle shield actually going to wind up being a defender, which didn't seem to make sense given what the gadget sounded like it could do, but the nitro cell was a defensive gadget, and people were confused and scratching their heads. And of course, as we see now, it was Valkyrie that got the nitro cell and not Blackbeard, so that wound up being a red herring, even though it was an audio file that was in the game. So translating some of these audio files into meaningful revelations is kind of hit or miss. You've got to expect that some of this stuff may be put into the game just as a, we'd like to do this, we'll put the audio file in there so we're ready to go just in case we implement it, and then it may get scaled back or removed, or who knows. Certainly some audio files are definitely placed in the game that are going to be used, and they're just waiting for their time, whenever the content launches to then become activated. But because we've seen this kind of have a 50-50 success rate on whether or not this actually leads to what we think it will, we should take this with a grain of salt. People would have some very strong opinions on claymores being added into the game. For instance, in Call of Duty games, it wound up becoming something that was incredibly frustrating to get killed by, and people just were raging against claymores in Call of Duty. I imagine the same arguments for why that was so frustrating in Call of Duty could probably be said for Rainbow Six as well, although you do already have a somewhat existing parallel with Capcan's laser trip mines. But that's just one specific operator that has it, and we don't know what the deal with these are, or even if there'll be something that's in the game. Nonetheless, it's an interesting piece of information, and we're going to keep a closer eye on that. We do have the mid-September patch that'll be coming out, probably in about a week or two. The doc image that was released on the Brazilian Facebook page may have been an unintentional leak, and we did see that with Ubisoft Mexico when they had some content that was leaked from earlier in the season back when we were doing Black Ice stuff. I think that's kind of what happened with the doc image on the Brazilian Ubisoft Facebook page. But the Twitch tease is definitely intentional, as that was put out by both of the official channels for Rainbow Six Siege on Facebook and Twitter. Now, if you want to stay up to date on this or any other breaking news and information for Rainbow Six Siege, as well as tips, walkthroughs, guides, and more, then please consider liking and subscribing. You can also follow me over at IcyCat25 on either Facebook or Twitter. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.